Hi y'all. In this video we're going to look at making a histogram, or a couple of histograms. To do this you're going to need some data, just one set of data, and I'm going to break this up into a few steps. The first one, we'll look at the number of different values of a different sort. All of the data in this case are either the number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay. To do this I'm going to use the COUNTIF function. What that's going to do is that's going to look at all of the data over here. So I'll highlight it all. And it's going to count them if they are whatever criteria I select. In this case, I want to see if that data is a 1. I'll enter there, and there should be 8 ones. So I can just copy and paste this down. I'm going to use a couple of $ in appropriate places, and that should be the formula that I can then just copy and paste into these other cells. And that's the number of 1s, 2, 3, 4, and 5s I have. To help me out a little bit here, I'm going to look at the total number of things I have. That's going to be the sum of these values. I'll use that in a minute. Okay, so there's 49 total. If I look at how many total things I have, you can see this in a couple of places. There's 49 R and 1 C. That's 49 rows in one column. Also, if I look down at the bottom here, I should see the count is 49. That looks like the total I have, so these are the right numbers. That prevents me from having to count them all myself. Now, when I make the chart I'm going to make, I'm actually going to want the percents of these things. So I don't want to know necessarily the number of ones I have. I want to know the percent of the number of those that is. One more time. I want to know what percent of these data values is a 1. 8 of the 49 was a 1. That is, C2 divided by C7, the total, was a 1. I'll use some $ with that total, so I can just copy and paste this down. Let me do one thing real quick. Let's multiply that by 100. 100 times that, so 16% of the data values are 8, so on and so forth. Now to make a histogram, I'm going to highlight that data that I want, and this is going to be a kind of, I'll call it a column graph. That'll be my preference here. And you'll notice that the values are associated with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was kind of a coincidence. Again, let me select the data, and the horizontal axis, I want to edit this. I want to use the values here representing my data. Now they're the same, so this won't change the graph, but that's what it is. And I could mess around with the chart layout if I wanted to. I could do something like this, or maybe if I wanted axes titles, I could put percents here, or numbers, something like that. And this is fun. Whatever. You could change the layout of this and do some stuff like that with your histogram. But this is called a histogram. A more complicated histogram, I've got some messy data here listed over here. Now let's see what I want to do with this. To help me out here, I'm going to use a couple of functions just to get a feel for the data. You don't need to do this, but this could be useful. I'm going to find the minimum value of this, and this is in A2 through, got a lot of data here, A77. The minimum value is -16. Alright. The maximum of A2 through A77 is 9.93. And the total number of things, just count those, A2 through A77. There were 76 different values there. Alright. Here, I'm going to want to separate out these numbers into a range of values. In this case, I'm going to make the ranges of length 5, and we'll see that in a second. How long the ranges are for a histogram, that's kind of a personal preference sort of thing, so you have to pick a number and use that. But how many numbers are below 20? There's actually none. So below 15, below -15, there are going to be some. Below -10, there will be some. -5, 0, 5, and 10. Just go with me here for a minute and we'll see what this is doing. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to count how many of the things are below -15. How many of the data values are below -15? So I'm going to use the COUNTIF function again. So I want to COUNTIF A2 through A77, and I'm going to copy and paste this, so let me use some dollar signs. A2 through A77. I want to know if this is going to be, well, below, that's less than, the amount that I just wrote down, -15. Okay, so I'm going to use quotation mark, less than, quotation mark, and this is a little strange. Here, I'm not looking for exactly this value. I'm looking for something less than that value. I need what the ampersand, the and sign, less than -15. And I want to close parentheses here. So it found one value less than -15. Copying and pasting that. There were two values less than -10, 9 values less than -5, 29 values less than 0, 68 less than 5, and 76 less than 10. Now there were 76 total. All of the values were less than 10. Well, that's not really what I want to put on this chart. What I want is the number in each range. Well, I'm probably going to have one that's between -15 and -20. But the number I'm actually going to have here between -10 and -15 is the difference of those two amounts. It's this amount minus the previous amount. There was one number between -10 and -15 because there were two below -10 and one of those was below -15. Copying and pasting that formula down, I should get the values I actually want. Now, the percents of these values, there were 76 total. The percent of values that were less than -15 or between -15 and -20 was, well, it should be 100 times that amount divided by the total, or what I have in this list here. Now, so what my chart's going to look like. These are the values I actually want in my chart. I'm going to insert a column chart, and this is it. All right, so this looks nice except for my horizontal axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 doesn't matter or make a lot of sense here. What those values represent, I'm going to delete this chart just to give me more room here. I'll come back to that. This was the data from -20 to -15. Well, the next one was from -15 to -10. There's a way you can make this happen without me having to retype all this, but for now, I'm just going to retype it, hopefully correctly. These are the ranges I want. These are the horizontal ranges for what these amounts represent. So I want to select the data from my horizontal range here, and it's actually going to be what's right here. I should have moved the chart so I could see it, but that's the chart that I want. So this is a histogram, and you can see where the data lie. Hope that